Hello everybody, this is a quick video to show you some of the basic functionality of the digital forms that are built in the editor for the Neotree app. So once you've logged in, you'll find yourself on the landing page, which gives you all the available forms which we can use to admit or discharge babies, enter lab data, maternal outcomes, whichever forms have been built within the editor. So let's start with the admission. Here it gives us options, asks us a question about the patient and asks us to give answers to that. So let's put the baby is crying. There are pages that are put into the form which give advice and guidance with images or just as text. If we select on something abnormal, then automatically the guidance responds and gives the appropriate treatment for the guidance that has been selected. If I go back and hit none, then it takes you onto the next page, normal page of the examination. Similarly, if I click the trunk feels cold, it gives us information, education and guidance on how to treat a baby for hypothermia. There are tools in the app such as timers, which allow the healthcare worker to concentrate on the patient, in this case to measure the respiratory rate, and it gives them a basic calculator as well. Normal data entry with a number keypad. As you can see, if data boxes are not entered, then the progression button in the bottom right hand page doesn't display until something has actually been entered. If you enter something too much, then you'll get an error message to check your entry until it's within the ranges. Moving on to the vital signs of the baby. And then every so often we get a progression page just to tell the user how far through the form they are progressing. Some pages are multiple choice, so this is the reason for admission. We can select numerous, and we can also deselect those and pick whichever ones we think are suitable. This is the patient identification page, so this is where the app generates a random Neotree ID, which is a number associated with the tablet device, and then a sequential number. This is important because this is the ID that will need to be entered by the user on a discharge, so that the records can then be matched within the database, and you have a complete record, a pseudo-anonymized record for each patient. As you'll see here, there are some data fields which aren't compulsory because often the babies don't have a name, so that can be set within the editor as well. And we also have automatic calendars to be able to select dates of birth, tests, whenever that might be. So from this point, I'm going to jump ahead to the end of the form and I'll show you some of the functionality there. So this is getting towards the end of the form, and now you can see the management pages. So this is based on the user's inputs for whether that's data input or whether that's the diagnosis that they think is most likely. Automatically the app recognizes that and presents them with the necessary management for the conditions that have been selected or triggered. So this is the recommended management for sepsis, prematurity, because that was selected as well. And then it moves on to ask about the management plan that's been put in place for the baby. I'm just going to select a few random things here just for demonstration purposes. It then asks for the identity of the healthcare worker and gives a completion. And that's it. That's the end of the form. And here it gives the user a summary of all the inputs that they've made. And at this stage, the personal identifiable information is visible at this stage and can be printed. So you can print to a printer if available, or you can save it as a PDF. And this is the printout that will come out and be placed into the patient's notes. And then we hit complete. Now that form is now available in the history part of the app. So here we have a few incomplete forms and we have one complete form. When it comes to deleting, usually when we're exporting we don't want to export any of the incomplete forms, and so we can hit delete in the top right, the trash can in the top right, and you can do this all sessions, incomplete sessions, or you can set a data range to select which data you want to delete. We're going to delete all incomplete sessions, and that's removed all of the incomplete ones, leaving us with the only complete session there. Then if we want to hit export, we hit the small disk icon and we can export a varying range of sessions, allow it to, and then to export it to your device. And here there are three options. We can either export to an Excel spreadsheet just onto the device. We can export to a JSON file just onto the device as well, or we can hit JSON API. Now JSON API exports the file as a JSON file to the database, in this case AWS. It also puts a soft copy on the device itself. Now when we hit export, all of the personal identifiable information is removed. And you can see that if we go into the historical record, we can see all of the information here, except all of the names, patient details, all of the names have been removed, and you're only left with the Neotree ID. If, let's say, we wanted to reprint the patient's forms, then we could enter a password, and that would then reveal the personal identifiable information for printing onto the notes. But any export is always done as pseudo-anonymized. When it comes to the discharge, here we select discharged, and then this is the key part of the discharge. It operates in a very similar way to the admission, but in this case we want to enter the same. If we want the record to be joined in the database, so if it's the same patient that's been admitted and then we're discharging, then we want to put in the same Neotree ID. So let's just check remind ourselves what that Neotree ID was by going into history. Neotree ID was 46's number 14. And then you would progress through the form to complete the discharge. So similar to the admission, the healthcare worker identifies themselves, and that's the discharge complete. Again, they get a summary of everything that's been entered. They can print that out. And that's the discharge complete. And we can see the completed discharge at the top there. We can delete the incomplete sessions. And then we would obviously need to export again for that discharge to now arrive in the database and be merged with the admission. And that's the basic functionality of the Neotree demo app. In the next video we'll try and take you through the some of the basic functionality of the editor, where we can build and edit the forms that are available on this landing page. Thanks for watching.